Dealership pulled bait and switch. It cost them over $50,000. The city I live in has extremely inflated vehicle values compared to the surrounding areas. If you buy the same car from a neighboring state, you can often save $3,000 to $4,000 without really trying. When I buy a new vehicle, which happens every 3 to 4 years, I always look in the surrounding states to compare pricing. This story happened about 5 years ago, and the malicious compliance is still ongoing to this day. I was shopping for a new car, brand new, and found one that matched my specs about 12 hours away in a neighboring state. It was priced about $5,000 below comps. After looking up flights, there was a one-way direct flight that took me to their local airport for around $175, plus the gas to drive back. I was looking at a total of maybe $275 to save $5,000. Absolutely worth it in this situation. I reached out to the dealership, negotiated a bit, and agreed on a price. I let them know that I would be flying in to pick up the car, and offered to pay in full in advance of the flight. They told me that all they needed was a $1,000 deposit, and that the car was considered mine. We signed a contract and I paid the deposit. And then I booked the flight for 3 days from then. First sign of things gone awry. When I showed up at the airport, the dealership was supposed to pick me up. This had been arranged in advance. A quick phone call later, and I grabbed an Uber to take me the 20 miles to the dealership with the promise of them covering that cost. No big deal either way. Second sign of things gone awry. When I showed up at the dealership, the salesman I had been speaking with asked me if I wanted to walk the lot with him to look at a few cars. Yes, cars. Plural. Questioning what he meant by that, we walked into the lot to see these cars that he was talking about. Were these some special type of gold inlaid, full self-driving, full self-flying amazemobiles? No, they were not. When I point-blank asked to see the car that I was buying, the one with VIN XYZ listed in this signed contract with a deposit on it, I was told it was no longer available. The salesman offered to show me similar cars, which would have been fine were we able to come to similar terms on pricing, but all of these cars outrageously priced. Think $2,000 over MSRP, instead of $5,000 under MSRP. Important note for later, there was never a mention or any paperwork, signage, etc., of any incentives for giving 5-star reviews. Fast forward 2 to 3 hours. I am now convinced this dealership never had this specific car on the lot, and that this was 100% a bait and switch gone wrong. The dealership was unwilling to sell me a similar vehicle at a similar price to our negotiated one. We were over $5,000 apart, and were unwilling to pay the flight costs for this bait and switch scenario. A heated discussion ensued between myself and the GM, where he told me to go ahead and leave a bad review, but that I wasn't getting any free money from him. I took an Uber to a nearby hotel and booked a flight back home for the next day. Total cost? Around $750. Cue malicious compliance. This dealership had an average Google rating of right around 4.5 stars and around 400 total reviews. Pretty solid for a dealership. That night, while I was sitting in the hotel room, I had some time to burn. I spent a couple of hours creating new email accounts just so that I could leave multiple reviews for this dealership. All said and done, I had left around 21-star reviews over the course of that night, and then sort of stopped caring about the reviews. At this point, my focus shifted to recovering my lost travel expenses. A few days after getting back, I sent the dealership a demand letter for $750, which they promptly ignored. Since we had done the original contract with the deposit in both states, I was allowed to file a small claims suit in my state, which I did. The dealership never showed up to court, and I received a default judgment for $750. I did collect that, by the way. It took a few certified letters, a few phone calls, and about a year, but I did get a check for $750. As you can imagine, I was still not a happy camper. What they had done was wrong on so many levels. All of my friends knew the story of how I was bait and switched, and the fact that I flew to the dealership on a one-way ticket only made it that much worse. They had all left a bad review or two, but nothing more than a normal mad customer. Cue malicious compliance, long term. I don't know how it started, or how it ended up lasting as long as it has. But at some point I had some time on my hands and left a bad review for this dealership. Just one. Not two. Not three. 1. In doing so, I noticed that all of the reviews I had left right after leaving the dealership were gone. Probably taken down for being fake, or because I had left so many at the same time and the dealership reported them. I wanted to make sure this dealership wouldn't do this to someone else. So the next day, I checked to make sure that one bad review I had just left was still there. And since I was thinking about it, I went ahead and created another account and left another 1-star review. Fast forward 2 to 3 years. It has now become a habit. Every time I have a few minutes to spare, I create a new account and leave a 1-star review for this dealership. Their current rating? 1.9 stars with nearly 3.5K total reviews. I am personally responsible for at least half of those reviews. When you open the dealer's website, one of the large banners that flashes across the screen advertises $50 for a 5-star review. Something about showing the review to your salesman to get a $50 Visa gift card. It has been this way since about a year after this bait and switch occurred, right around the time the 1-star reviews began to accumulate. Assuming I am responsible for half of their reviews, and the fact that the dealership only has 3.5K total reviews, they have paid $50 per review for at least 1,000 reviews, likely more than that. Meaning, they have implemented a policy to pay for reviews, have spent $50,000 doing so, and have still seen their average rating drop consistently since telling me to go ahead and leave a bad review. Story 2. My friend doesn't want me to meet her boyfriend, but she wants to be friends with my fiancé. I met my friend back in 2019 during college. We were really friends instantly and we had so much in common. But since life has moved on and we both changed, I really don't recognize her. The confident and bold girl I met isn't there anymore. My friend met her boyfriend back in 2022 and it's been horrible ever since. She has told me she thinks he's cheating on her, how emotionally abusive he is towards her, the way he screams at her, and that he encouraged her to not take birth control and that they have unprotected intimacy. So from what she told me, I never had a liking towards this guy. But they always break up just to get back together, so this guy isn't going anywhere. My friend goes from crying over what he says and does to being so happy in a state of euphoria. It's a constant up and down of emotions. I'm engaged to the person I would love to call my soulmate. We have been together for 2 years. When we first started our relationship, my friend told me how important it is that she befriends my fiancé and that they have a good friendship. I agreed and included her in our hangouts. There have been many times I told her to let her boyfriend join us. I thought it's unfair to judge a person I never met and I should give him a chance. My friend always pushed off the idea of a double date or would say we should do it but never fall through. I know she would even go on a double date with her coworker. I thought maybe they have more in common because they work together. I only met her boyfriend once and it was very awkward. We were going shopping and she told me that her boyfriend texted her that he's cold at work. She ended up buying him a $130 jacket and we had to go drop it off to him. I tried to insist to her not to because of how expensive it is, but there was no getting through to her. She decided we had to drop it off at their work. They work at the same place. When we got there, she told me to stay in the car and I felt stupid staying in a car. I told her that's silly and if it's really a problem if I met him. She kept arguing with me that I need to stay in the car. He ended up coming out to us and I told her it's awkward if I stay here. So I ended up meeting him and he ignored her the whole time. He didn't thank her for the jacket and he kept trying to talk to me. He asked me about myself and what I'm ordering when we have dinner. It was very weird, and then after that my friend was crying in the car that he didn't thank her for the jacket and that he ignored her. For another example, I went out to dinner with her and her brother. I'm friends with him too. Last Friday. She got into a bad argument with him and she was devastated, like no matter how much we tried to help her she was inconsolable. After an hour her mood changed and all was fine again. She told us she's dropping off dinner for her boyfriend. Then when we got to his place she parked away from his house and told us it's best that we stay here. Her brother said that it's rude towards her boyfriend if we park away from his house, like it could show she's embarrassed of him or where he lives. She told her brother he's right and of course we were told to wait in the car. For some additional information about me, my fiancé and I have to do long distance for a bit due to visa reasons. We're doing the K1 fiancé visa, so he'll be back anywhere from August-December. We have been apart since June, but I do go and visit him during my work vacations. My friend constantly mentions that when my fiancé comes back we have to go out on a double date. She said it so many times that I don't think she's excited for him to come back, rather just for her boyfriend to come out with us. I have told her I'm fine and happy to go out with them, and explained it could take a while for my fiancé to come back. She insisted she rather wait. She said it the other night that my fiancé needs to come home so we can double date. I asked her, why can't it be us? Why do we have to wait for him? She said that she rather wait for everyone can be comfortable. I don't know what that even has to do with anything. I'm perfectly fine and comfortable to go out with them, like I don't need my fiancé to have fun. The other factor is he won't be back until 6 to 8 months. My friend knows that, and when I tried explaining to her that it might take a while until he comes back, and when I told her that, she just said, well, time moves fast, and before you know it he'll be here. It just sounded stupid, so I didn't even try to carry on with that conversation. I am really confused. She always mentions wanting to double date just for it to never happen. They have been together for 2 years and I never met this guy, but she puts such an importance on being friends with my fiancé. She also double dates a lot with her coworker and their husband, then she proceeds to tell me how amazing her double date was. I'm so tempted to ask her if she thinks I'm an idiot, and I really want to ask if she's embarrassed me or of her boyfriend. I just don't know why she makes it a big deal to have a good friendship with my fiancé, but I can't even hang out with her and her boyfriend.